I feel like Missouri Western, both academics and athletics, does such a great job with us student athletes, giving us the ability to really perform at our best. I feel like Missouri Western, both academics and athletics, does such a great job with us student athletes, giving us the ability to really perform at our best.
You're listening to the Griffon Sports Insider Podcast, giving you an in-depth look at Missouri Western athletics with interviews, features, game broadcasts, and more. Here's your host, Tommy Rezaj.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the Griffon Sports Insider Podcast on our Hall of Fame series, highlighting the 2024 Missouri Western Athletics Hall of Fame class as we get closer and closer to our Hall of Fame weekend on campus. We stay with women's sports here, going to women's golf, and perhaps one of the best women's golfers in the history of Missouri Western. She is Dr. Natalie Bird. She is currently an assistant professor in the Health, Human Performance, and Recreation Department at Pittsburgh State University. She is a Carl Junction, Missouri native. She did her undergrad and got a graduate degree here at Missouri Western. And Dr. Bird now joining us on the podcast. Natalie, good to meet you. Congratulations, by the way, on your Hall of Fame induction. I guess I asked the same thing to all inductees. Just what was your reaction when you found out you were a part of this group?
Well, thank you. It's so great to be here. But yeah, it was one of those things that I don't know if I should speak for everyone, but I feel like all of us that had great college careers, regardless the sport we played, part of me kind of thought, well, maybe there's a chance someday. And then also when I got the call, I was like, oh my gosh, already? Like, how is this happening? And then also just like the landscape of women's golf has changed so much since I was in school that I'm like, man, I'm glad I was good enough to be even considered, So it's a huge honor.
Yeah, no, it's terrific. For those that don't know, Natalie Bird, she played golf at Missouri Western from 2009 to 2013, four-time All-Conference. She was MIAA Freshman of the Year and made history, becoming the first women's golfer in the history of Missouri Western to punch her ticket to the NCAA Division II regional tournament. Well, yeah, take me back kind of to those days in college, 4 terrific years. Women's golf, kind of has gone on to do a lot of great things. I know, a lot of players have come in and have been to regionals since your time. But just looking back on those 4 years, with the accolades included. But beyond that, what made your time here so special?
Oh, wow. How much time do you have?
Oh, I got all the time in the world.
Because there's a lot of great things that came out of my experience at Missouri Western. And I mean, I can speak to that academically, athletically, just the people I met. The thing that when I really reflect on that time, that I take away more than anything is I feel like Missouri Western, both academics and athletics, does such a great job with us student athletes, giving us the ability to really perform at our best. And that is everything from the facilities we have access to, the amazing professors that we had. I might have a little bit of a unique situation since I went on to teach in higher education. So I really consider both ways, especially since a lot of my students are student athletes as well. But, when I reflect back on my time, I just think everyone that I came in contact with, athletics, academics, everything, they kind of freed all of us up to be able to play our best. We still had our responsibilities and we still had, things we had to do. And, it's not to say we got just like a free pass all the way through or anything like that. But I feel like Missouri Western is such a unique place because there's just so much opportunity there. And, I just am so grateful to, Coach Habermel. Kathy was, she had a profound impact on my life in general, but she always had things taken care of. I just had to show up and play golf, and the same thing goes for even a lot of my professors. Like, they always were like, we'll get you on track. You go play the best you can. And when you get back, we'll get you on track here. And that's a really unique experience at especially the Division II level when you also have that and amazing facilities. The Griffin Indoor Sports Complex had just been built my, I guess, sophomore year. It was being built my freshman year. And at that time, nobody had anything like that. So, you pair the people with the facilities and just overall, I mean, I always look back on my time at Missouri Western with just so much love, and it was such a great experience.
Absolutely. We're talking with Dr. Natalie Bird, Missouri Western women's golfer from 2009 to 2013, now a member of the 2024 Missouri Western Hall of Fame class. You were saying earlier that how much the game of golf has changed since you've played. I feel like women's sports over that, 10 or so years since you've played, it has taken off. I think it's growing. I think the way it's covered, the amount of coverage it's getting, and the amount of respect and viewers that women's sports is getting both collegiately and also in the professional level, I think that's going up. And I think a lot of folks feel like, yeah, it's about time. But I guess with women's golf in particular, what have you noticed in your playing days? What have been the biggest changes since you were a college athlete?
Oh man, there have been a lot of changes. Obviously you have all of the NCAA changes. They change their policies every 5 minutes, it seems like. But so that has impacted, I mean, just like the transfer portal. And I was just talking to one of my friends the other day that, when I was recruited to play golf, it was like a very hush hush, like you weren't allowed to tell anybody that you were being recruited. You weren't allowed to talk about how much you were offered. Like you weren't allowed to talk about any of that. It was kind of like, okay, signing day, by the way, I'm going to Missouri Western. Whereas now you have these kids, posting online like, oh, I just got offered a full ride to,
Yeah.
whatever. And so it's like you see that piece. And I think for women's golf, that has created a really unique kind of landscape because, I was telling my students today actually in class that, when I competed in college, I competed against like three international students like ever. And I don't even mean on our team, just in general. And one of
Wow.
them was from Canada. Like we very rarely played against international students. And now, I mean, that makes up a portion, if not the majority of many sports teams, especially teams like or sports like golf.
Mhm.
So it's just crazy. I feel like the world is so much more open as far as the accessibility for women's golf. And I think that that's really interesting and it's made the competition so much more fierce. I mean, there were teams when I was playing that women's golf was a great opportunity for people to get scholarships. And there were some teams that were fighting to just get people. And now it's like, if you can't shoot around par every time you play, you may not even get the chance to play in college. So it's just opened up so much more. And, the competition is so much more fierce. And, it's just interesting to see the progression. And I think you certainly have people, like Caitlin Clark and the standout female athletes that have impacted all of women's sports. But then you have these little things that also, just the change in how many international students we have, it all kind of rolls together and creates just a whole different ball game.
Huh. Yeah, I guess being somebody that was in high school when you were in college, I guess I didn't realize how recent the uptick in international recruiting is because yeah, you look at Missouri Western women's golf now and extends to tennis as well. Yeah, international recruiting a huge piece of that right now. You mentioned your coach Kathy Habermill, but as you were coming up in this game and deciding what you wanted to do in your career, who were some people, whether it be in sports, education, otherwise, who would you say have been your biggest role models that have ultimately led you to where you are now?
Well, first and foremost is my dad. He's the one that really got me into golf.
Mm.
Growing up, I was kind of his shadow on the golf course. Like he would go and play a couple holes every evening, and I would just tag along, even when I was too little and didn't even know how golf worked at all. And I just grew up being around golf primarily because of him. And then he was the first person that got a golf club in my hands and the first person that taught me how to play. And so he's certainly been like the biggest influence on my golf game ever. And so, he's definitely number one. And then I've been very, very blessed to have some great instructors over the years.
Mhm.
Boyd Downey out at Briarbrook Golf Course. He's not an instructor anymore, but he helped me all throughout junior golf and had a profound impact on me learning the game beyond my dad. Doug Adams, he was out at Twin Hills Golf Course in Joplin, and he really helped me out in high school and really helped me take my game to a completely different level that I think got me ready for college golf. And then Mark Tackett, he was my college golf instructor during that time. And, obviously Mike Habermel has been a huge impact as well at, St. Joe Country Club. But Mark Tackett was the one that I worked with all summer, during college, and he also had a profound impact too. And so I've been very fortunate to have a lot of instruction and positive influences, from all of these kind of formal roles, and then also my dad. But I also come from a very strong golf community, Briarbrook Golf Course in Carl Junction. I can't go to Briarbrook without running into someone I know and them genuinely asking me how I am, and even though I don't play golf with them every day, or, a lot of them I don't talk to all the time,
Mhm.
but, it really impacts somebody that's playing an individual sport to know you've got like the support, especially when you don't go to school in that same town either. I always felt like I had my Briarbrook golf community. And so I've been very, very fortunate to have a lot of support with golf over the years.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I actually read your bio on GoGriffons.com from back in the day, and you did mention your father Dave as a role model growing up. You said your dream job was to be a professional golfer. You majored in sports recreation management at Missouri Western, and you were mentioning, kind of your journey in the years since you got your PhD at Arkansas. You said you spent some time as a grad assistant under former coach Greg Dillon, but yeah, I guess 10 years or so it's been. I guess what have you been up to, and what's ultimately paved your path to Pitt State where you are now?
Yeah, so I kind of took a unique route. I graduated with my master's, and I never forfeited my status, but I played in a couple professional events, and I just didn't like it. I mean, it made
Hmm.
me really not like golf. I mean, it's just such a different atmosphere. It costs so much money. I mean, it kind of ruined golf for me at that point.
Hmm.
And so that was where I was like, okay, golf has given me so much. Last
Hmm.
thing I want is to hate golf.
Yeah.
And so that's where I kind of transitioned more into, I worked at Briarbrook all throughout college, a couple years after college. I kind of transitioned more industry wide. And then also it was around like 20, probably 16. I started kind of questioning, all right, what do I want to do with my life?
Hmm.
You go through all those phases of like, I'm an athlete, I'm focusing on my sport. And then I realized after graduation, oh, I don't really want to play my sport anymore at that kind of level. So what am I going to do with my life?
Hmm.
Um, and I loved working in the golf industry. I loved working at golf courses. I've also loved doing other golf industry work. But for years, I felt the pull to get into teaching. I
Hmm.
never had the desire to teach younger kids. I only wanted to teach at the college level. And this is where Missouri Western also plays into that part of my life as well, because I kind of had an epiphany moment, I guess you could say, where I was like, I think I really want to be a college professor. And so I reached out to Dr. Paul Choi at Missouri Western. I said, hey, do you have any classes I can teach? If so, let me know. Which now looking back on that, I'm like, that was probably the least professional thing I could do. But, I just knew that he was one of my mentors academically, and I knew that if there was something, he would point me in that direction. And it ended up working out that I had a couple classes that I could teach at Missouri Western with just a master's degree. And I'll never forget, I walked out the door after the first day of school teaching, and I called my mom and I said, I found it. This is what I want to do. And so I taught at Missouri Western that year, and during that time, I got accepted to go to Arkansas, and I got my PhD there and taught while I was there as well. And so Missouri Western has really been kind of like a foundation to so much that I've done. I mean, I have all my golf stuff too, but with my career, my biggest like first is also at Missouri Western. So, but yeah, so then it's just kind of taken me along that path. I've coached at Missouri Southern a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I continued to teach at Missouri Western. I graduated during COVID, so my
Wow.
teaching opportunities were pretty limited, but I had classes that I taught at Missouri Western, hybrid and online.
Mm-hmm.
And then also I taught at Emporia State for a year and then found myself here at Pitt State. So I've kind of bounced all over the MIAA, but the main thing is I've had opportunities to work at bigger schools and to do, bigger, broader things. And my time at Missouri Western made me fall in love with, the MIAA and this kind of classroom size and this environment. And I'm very fortunate to be here at Pitt State. Obviously, it's a little weird because it's, my enemy in some ways, but now it's like my home. But I get to still be essentially home. I live in Joplin and commute every day. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. But, Missouri Western has definitely been that like underlying thing throughout my whole career, which is pretty cool too.
Yeah, once a Griff, always a Griff, as they say. Dr. Natalie Bird joining us. I guess, yeah, last thing for you. When was the last time you were on campus here? And I guess just what are you looking forward to most about just being back in St. Joe and spending some time around here again?
Gosh, it was probably 2022, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe 2021. I can't quite remember. I was teaching a graduate law class for you guys. And so I had one semester where I was on campus a couple times. And so it would have been, I mean, it's been at least a year, a couple of years at the very, very least. So it's been a while, but I'm really excited because there's nothing quite like I don't know. There's nothing quite like being on campus at Missouri Western, and it's just another one of those places that's kind of home to me. So I'm really, really excited just to see everybody and to just I don't know how to explain it other than there's just a vibe there, a feeling there.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't go here. I graduated from Nebraska in 2017, but I've been in St. Joe almost 4 years and have covered this university for about the same amount of time. And now working here, yeah, you definitely get a home vibe here. That is for sure. There's a special energy here. I know you're probably kept busy, but are you able to get the clubs out at least here and now and get some golf in when you're in the middle of the school year? Or?
Everybody asks me that. They're like, "So do you still play?" And I'm like, "I attempt."
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the best way. No, I'm still very lucky since all of my family is still in Joplin.
Mhm.
My boyfriend plays golf, my whole family, most of us play golf. So I have endless opportunities to play. I'm not quite at that level anymore, but that's golf. It's high maintenance. So what do you do?
Yeah. But what was your favorite course you ever played on?
Well, Briarbrook is like my home, so
Sure.
it's definitely like my favorite. But I played Awari Dunes in school in undergrad, and that course was one of my favorites. It's a link style. I only played it in that tournament, but I
Mhm.
still really like it. And I really liked Mozingo.
Yeah.
Um, that's a really fun course. But Briarbrook is home, so it's always going to be number one.
Yeah, yeah, you can't top that. That's for sure. Well, Natalie, thank you so much for taking the time and great to talk with you. Yeah, this project talking to our Hall of Famers. Some of them I do know, but others I never even maybe even heard of or got to meet. So this has been a great treat for me, and I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with us. And I know I speak on behalf of pretty much everyone here that we're looking forward to seeing you back here on November 1st. And so yeah, appreciate the time.
Thank you so much. It's an honor. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. So I appreciate it.